Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com.
Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it is all about casual conversations for serious workflow. And we don't take ourselves too seriously here at the workshop, but we all are wearing headsets. So we
new headset. As a matter of fact, I take myself so non-seriously that I just configured it and set it up 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, it does sound like it's echoing. So again, we'll check it out after, but
Okay.
totally fine.
I'm happy to do whatever you say, Dan.
For today. So we're coming in for a landing with our series with Katana. So you're noticing an extra guest, and we have Shawn again. We haven't seen you since last year. How have you been, a while. Shawn?
I've been good. It's very cold here in Canada, and I'm wearing my. You said it's a casual conversation, so I decided to have my Katana warm hoodie on today for the conversation. But I'm ready to get into some serious manufacturing workflows.
Right.
I thought it was your jumper.
My jumper. It's not a full suit. It does not have pants attached.
Oh, so in Canada it has to have pants attached to be called a jumper? I thought you called what we call a hoodie a jumper.
No, we call it a sweater.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want jumpers or rompers or whatever whatever those nasty shorts with.
Oh, a romp him.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to move on from that before we get ourselves in trouble. But we've been doing a series with Katana for those that might be open to doing a feature comparison between QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise with advanced inventory workflows, and how they might translate to something that is more cloud-based, because that is the direction that Intuit is certainly pushing, encouraging. I'm not sure the best way to describe it. Shawn, what would you call it as far as cloud-based SaaS software as a service in the industry itself? What would you call it? You know, like from a technology or a solution provider basis.
Yeah, I would definitely call it a transition period. And what I believe technology companies are doing is they're aligning their technology or what they're developing to enable the adoption of the best future technology that will be developed. And so in an on-premise environment, you're not going to be able to utilize things like AI integrations nearly as easily as a company that's fully built on a cloud tech stack. And so when you look at Intuit, or you look at Shopify, or Microsoft, or Katana, we are all focused on developing solutions that are built in the cloud, that are easy to use, and that integrate with each other so that a business can utilize the tech stack efficiently and enable their business to adopt new technology more readily.
Did Katana was Katana born in the cloud, meaning that there never was a desktop solution for Katana?
Yeah, so we have never had a desktop product. Katana was started 7 years ago, and the founders of our company, one of the head technology individuals, he's our CTO, Preet. He was actually on the development team for Skype, which was out of Estonia, and Skype was also a cloud-based product. You might remember Skype as one of the first online calling tools. And
Right.
so that team and that development team transitioned or many of them over to Katana and started developing Katana as a cloud-based solution after sort of it was sold and bought by Microsoft.
Got it. Yeah, so I like some of these service providers that were born in the internet. I mean, I think that's part of the struggle with especially QuickBooks, in that a lot of people adopted QuickBooks on a desktop, and then here comes QuickBooks Online into the marketplace. So they're a little bit unique in that they have, they sit on both sides of the platform, but the trend of, to what you said, is that they are embracing the advantages of a cloud-based solution, and you're not going to get those AI integrations, other integrations that you have on a desktop platform. You're not going to get Intuit Assist to be a little banner or sidebar or flying in to be able to do those things, and the instant access that you're going to be able to leverage from data that is in the cloud, that's anonymized and homogenized and those types of things. Being able to do that in a desktop software is going to be increasingly challenging. When you're in that environment, the lever that they seem to be pulling is price. Which that is the encouragement that they seem to be doing that. I mean, you look at the evolution of QuickBooks Online and pricing, as well as the desktop pricing, and it is increasingly exponentially different for the increases for desktop, which that seems to be the way that they're making that conversation now more prevalent, right? Is, well, if you want desktop, you can have it, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, it
Right?
seems very deliberate what they're doing. And also, I have to add, I mean, there are so many other reasons to want these products cloud-based, because like for my firm, I'm definitely interested in scaling. And so there's a lot of different things that, I am automating and looking to automate more and more and more. And as a matter of fact, as we're coming into this new year, we just had a meeting this morning about what can we automate more, because now we're really starting to feel the time crunch, and being able to allocate our time in a better way. And like one example that I'm just dealing with right now is I deal with mainly inventory people, and I have somebody that really wants to be using a desktop product right now, but he's constantly emailing me about just tech issues. This is freezing, this is happening, and this is happening, and you sort of become, and this is one of the reasons that I sort of shied away from the desktop solutions in the very beginning a few years ago, is because I didn't necessarily have the expertise or the skills to be a desktop software troubleshooter, and because my expertise is with the accounting. Well, but since I've jumped over to the cloud-based world, I've definitely become an automation specialist, linking the different SaaS products together, which now I believe needs to go hand in hand with the accounting, and you really have to become an accounting specialist specifically with cloud-based products. But I don't mind doing that because along with it comes the faster pace and the automation. And so that's something that I want to pass along to all of my clients. And I just cannot get bogged down with the time involved with troubleshooting these desktop products. Even if they've become more, easily to link into, it's just still not something that I want to spend my time doing.
Right, and that tends to, be where things seem to live these days. Is that okay? You choose one or the other, but maybe not both.
Mm-hmm. Although I know people that do for sure, but I'm definitely, but I mean, you're such an expert at it that you're going to move faster than somebody like me for sure.
Right. Yeah. And there are, I can think of years of my life that I have wasted on an H202 error in desktop that just doesn't exist in online, right? Because you don't have those environmental problems
right.
of Windows and security and IT, getting involved when you have a cloud-based solution. So we want to talk with Shawn about kind of the core functionality of Katana, and I think it's shining. The thing that it does really, really well is making things, right? QuickBooks with its desktop software and the functionality and the advanced inventory flows that we've been highlighting over the past few sessions that we've had with Shawn is really good at the rear view mirror, right? Being able to, if your business was a car and you're looking at, you're driving said car and you've got a windshield that you're looking out that's going forward, the rear view mirror tells you where you've been. And that's really where QuickBooks lives for a lot of things. And inventory management is no different. So talk a little bit, Shawn, about the windshield of inventory management and how Katana helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the windshield analogy is a great sort of I guess, description of what's happening. It's a great analogy of an analogy. But for example, I think when you look at demand, so now a business in the cloud environment in a SaaS-based world can sell through all these different sales channels. Like we just launched our integration into HubSpot. We just launched our integration into TikTok. We just, we have businesses selling through Shopify.
Good for you in Canada.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen with the future of TikTok here.
Right. So you have these different ways businesses are bringing orders in. And so that's creating demand within the system. And so now that you have this demand, you have to fulfill that demand. And so when you look at a real-time solution, it's pulling in your demand in real time. So as that order is entered into Shopify, it in real time is going into Katana. And if it's a more complex inventory requirement, meaning that they have a finished good that is made up of raw materials or maybe some sort of kitting operation, you then are creating demand on multiple other items. And so by having a real-time environment, you're able to ensure that you're not only keeping in stock your finished product in a timely manner, but also the raw materials that feed into that so that you can keep your lead time short. You can ensure that the amount of investment you're making into your inventory is adequate to your demand so that you're not eating up your cash flow, as well as maintaining those lead times to keep your customer satisfaction levels high. So that all is made possible through real-time inventory management that Katana provides.
Right. And so the general, and you mentioned a couple terms, and I want to make sure that we're clear on the real world term versus the QuickBooks term, or the Katana term, in the case may be. So this adds, when you're making something and taking raw materials or components and turning them into something else, there's a functionality inside of QuickBooks called an assembly item. Uh-oh. and crap happens. Called an assembly item. Yeah. And in QuickBooks, you're going to be specifying what it takes to make one of those finished goods, right? And there's a term of bill of materials that you're going to be assigning those items so that you can tell, in this case, QuickBooks, how much of each is going to take to make one of those things. And then the sole purpose is being able to tell QuickBooks that you've done that on such and such a date. And QuickBooks' sole purpose of that is to take the quantity and the cost and move it from one inventory item, which is your components, into the finished good, right? And not to be confused with a group item, which is very similar in that, but the main difference between a group item and an assembly item is it will only move the inventory on a transaction that is either selling it or receiving it. So what is the Katana glossary for those types of things? So assembly item where you have a bill of materials and you're building something, or a group, which is just a combination of items at the time of sale?
Yeah, so they would both be called products in Katana. And so the more general product would be something that has a bill of material associated to it. So meaning that you are manufacturing or creating that finished product, it becomes an inventory item. And as a part of that, manufacturing order creates your finished good, and that then can be fulfilled on a sales order. Whereas when you look at a kitted item, that is what you're referring to as a grouped product. So by that, when you sell that kit, what happens is automatically the inventory is reduced relative to all of the components that make up that kit, which could be raw materials or products that you make, but it's a bundle of different goods that are being consumed automatically when that sales order is fulfilled. And so that would be what we would refer to as a kit.
Got it. So if we need to have like a QuickBooks to Katana glossary.
Well, and then in QuickBooks Online, it's called a bundle.
Yeah. Just to add more complexity, not even on the same platform can they call this the same thing.
Yeah, and then those bundles never involve an assembly item. They're always a finished good kitted into a bigger finished good.
Yeah. QuickBooks Online doesn't even have this concept of building things, right? So that's why we've always kind of talked about it, Rachel, as a reseller option for inventory management, where I buy stuff and I sell that same stuff. I don't do anything to that stuff before I sell it. So
and just on Dan, I wanted to just highlight a point you made around Desktop's sole purpose in converting sort of the value of materials into the finished product. And I think it was really interesting how you worded that, because when we look at Katana's sort of reason for existence, it's not just accounting for movement of inventory, it's providing value to the business owner. And what I'm trying to get at there is it helps them manage their inventory more efficiently. It helps them automate their purchasing processes. and it helps them track jobs through production and schedule their shop floor. And so what you kind of were, what my mind went to in that respect was, the QuickBooks Desktop is an excellent solution for sort of the accounting arm of the business, and it does a great job in that realm. But when we look at the value proposition of Katana plus QBO, it really is now starting to offer value to the overall business from an operational efficiency perspective. And I think that's a
Totally
big
agree.
difference that you sometimes might overlook as an accountant when you're comparing QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, and other applications that would integrate with QBO.
Yeah, because that's definitely been one of the short sights or shortcomings. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Of QuickBooks Desktop is that the people that, okay, well, I need to plan, right, for these manufacturing runs or building things or accounting for waste, which is typically, depending on what it is that they're making, they you normally, unless you're dealing with, hard goods where screws and bolts and nuts, uh, you know, things like materials that don't get wasted, it's really great at. Uh, but accounting for time or labor or those types of things, which you can assign those things in your bill of materials, but it's all based off of close guesstimates, right? um, but with something like Katana, you can actually live in the product, adjust things based off of a certain priority. Whereas QuickBooks, you're just saying, well, this is the things that I like to build. It'll tell me um, what I have on hand and what I could build. Um, but as far as integrating that with work on hand, like things to do today, that's where things are a little bit short-sighted as far as QuickBooks is concerned, because you really can't plan uh, based off of that, because you can only tell QuickBooks at one time, this is what I'm building today, um, and this is what I could build, and it'll tell you based on that one particular item. So talk a little bit, Shawn, about the planning and real live adjustments that you can make on that. I don't know if you want to
Yeah, sure.
share your
That's probably a good
screen,
idea.
to actually show, because I think that is the really cool thing about Katana, because you have a section called Plan, right, which allows you to be able to do those types of things. So I'm going to share your
Yeah,
screen,
and
and we're,
I just want to
oops,
add
wait a
really
minute.
quick before he
Who
shares
wants to
that
see me? No, let's switch it.
let me just say too that normally, like, if you're looking for something outside of the traditional accounting, I mean, even just 5-6 years ago, you were looking at spending $100,000, on a really expensive desktop, solution for manufacturing and tracking inventory and doing something like that. This is drastically changed that. So now you have, sort of a mini ERP type of functionality. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles of something, like SAP or whatever. But you can now utilize these tools at a fraction of the price. And now with more people opting to, maybe I'll just manufacture this here instead of maybe shipping it overseas, which now we may see a lot more of that coming here
Certainly.
in the United States because of tariffs. So it's, what I like about it is now I get to have conversations with business owners of, consider something like this. It's really cost effective and you can get the job done, and you don't need what you used to have to purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've been in the industry for about the last 15 years selling some of those big, expensive on-premise solutions. And I look at the customers that we would service and implement. And when I look at what Katana can provide from a value proposition perspective, the return on investment is there so much quicker. Like within
Yeah.
the first couple of months, like the average customer is up and running on Katana in about 6 weeks. comparing that to, a full ERP implementation, you're looking at maybe 12 months. And so when you're looking at this, multiple $100,000 cash outlay to actually just get the system up and running, it's really difficult to justify that type of investment to kind of gain some operational efficiency or support your business and scaling.
Yeah.
Whereas Katana, you're adding on to your, already in place tech stack often through those native integrations. And so one thing I'll just highlight when we're looking at the system here. So I'm logged in through a browser, and we can see all these different sales orders that are listed out here. And if we go all the way over to the right, I can see where those sales orders were coming from. I've got a bunch coming in here from Shopify. I have actually some coming in directly from HubSpot. And so, you look at a business that's selling through multiple channels today, right? They've got their B2B operations that are likely being, managed in some form of a CRM tool like HubSpot. And that sales rep goes and closes that order. That's going to automatically then populate into Katana. And right there, I can say, hey, do I have that inventory available? Within HubSpot, they have the ability to see those different products and what that inventory level is. So there's that real-time sync of two SaaS-based products, HubSpot and Katana, where Katana is updating in real time. How much inventory do you have available? And can that sales rep go and close a big deal with their client or customer, or when can they get that by? And those are questions that would be difficult for a rep to answer on the road, but this is something that Katana enables directly through that CRM system. And then next to that, you can see your ingredients. What do I have in stock that I make up those finished goods and have the production orders been put in place? So this is a view of all of your demand of sales orders that are coming in through those sales channels. And right here, I can maybe prioritize those. So maybe I know that these HubSpot orders are really important because those are my wholesale orders. There may be more dollar value related to them. So I can drag and drop that Burt's Sports Store order all the way to the top of the list. And so that's going to prioritize that across my entire solution. And so if we dive into that order individually, I can see that I've got a hockey stick on this order, of course. There's a quantity of 2.
Of course.
And we can see...
you would have to turn in your Canadian card if you didn't.
That's right. And so right here, I could go and create a manufacturing order for that hockey stick. And if I wanted to find out some more details about it, I can do that right here. So maybe I want to go in and quickly look at what this hockey stick is made out of. So maybe I've got a picture of the hockey stick so we can see, okay, here's a picture of our Bauer carbon fiber hockey stick. And then maybe I've got my bill of materials that this hockey stick is made out of. So I can see in production, it's made of carbon fiber, Kevlar, polyurethane, and I can see sort of the weight of each one. So those are all the materials I'm going to need in-house. And then here's the production process that job's going to go through, or that item needs to go through in order to be manufactured. So, from heat all the way through to quality inspection. So now that I have the demand and I already have the bill of material and production operations set up within the system, if I go back to this order here, I have the ability to go and create my manufacturing order directly to this job, or I can consolidate that from all the demand within the system and create my manufacturing order to stock. So let's just create it to order here and show how we would generate that manufacturing order. So
I'm laughing to myself because I thought it was made out of wood.
Well, hockey sticks used to be made out of wood.
Oh, they did. Okay. So I'm not totally out of my mind.
But, I started using a carbon fiber hockey stick probably a good 20 years ago. So they've been around for a while.
I'm not far behind on my technology.
Okay, so now I've just gone in and created a make-to-order manufacturing order, meaning that I am creating my manufacturing order directly related to that sales order. So it's a one-to-one relationship between the sales order and the manufacturing order.
Sean, are these designated at the item level if it's a made-to-order item or not? Or are you just creating a manufacturing order and designating it in that?
You can do it either way, and most businesses need that flexibility. So in some cases, they'll go in manufacture to order. In others, they'll go to the stock screen here.
Okay.
And they'll say, okay, for my products, I want to go and see all the items that I'm short on. So right now I'm listing out all the different manufactured items, and I can see, for example, this hockey stick, I've got 17 that I'm low on. So I can go and say, I want to go and create a manufacturing order for the 17 quantity. And now it's a make to stock order. So it's
Okay.
consolidating the demand, and you can see where that demand is coming from. So if I look at the committed quantity, this is the cool part about sort of that real-time nature of the system. We're creating our manufacturing order to stock based on all the demand that we have in the system. So how many do I currently have in stock? What's expected based on open manufacturing orders already in the system? That's the two I literally just put in that make to order job. And then we've got the quantity committed. So there's the 19 pieces that are have demand against them from the other orders that are in the system. And then if I wanted to maintain a certain quantity of inventory, you can set up a safety stock level. So the overall calculation here is that I need to go out and manufacture another 17 to fulfill the demand that I currently have within my system.
And then it's you can so there's a time aspect of making all of this. Can you build in those lead times so that you're not short, one on getting the raw materials, and two, making those actual finished goods? Can you do that in Katana?
You can, yeah. So there's two ways that you can look at doing that. So the more simple way is that you just set up these sort of safety stock levels, or sometimes it might be referred to as Kanban, right? So you've got a minimum quantity that you want to keep in stock at all time, and that's your safety stock quantity. That once it reaches that, it triggers you to go and create a manufacturing order to replenish that inventory. So it would be sort of a Kanban manufacturing system. The other would be sort of forecasting based on that lead time in production that you set up within the system, and that would be over on the planning side. So in our planning or forecasting tool, you can look at individual products that you're forecasting out, and based on your planned sales as well as demand within the system, it's going to identify what you need to go and manufacture based on that future demand. So to fulfill that future demand, and that's where you're going to jump over to the replenishment screen, and it's going to show you all the items that you need to go either to manufacture or buy based on your future planned demand within the system, looking at lead time as well as when you need that inventory by.
Yeah, that's definitely a windshield, um, a windshield thing as opposed to a rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Because that sort of thing just does not exist usably inside of QuickBooks. Now you could probably work within some kind of reporting function, or something like that, to be able to get some insights into that. But to mass order or mass make these things, to pivot if you needed to, the real time being able to adjust the various priorities, I think is a huge thing. Now, Rachel, in your experience, and I hate to bring up something that's not Katana, but in your experience of other tools that are out there, is this a common solution for other ones that are out there, or is this something that's unique to Katana?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's why I'm excited that they have it, because it's almost necessary. You have to have that. But what I was going to ask you is, Dan, because you're such an expert with desktop, what do you think? Do you think desktop might, or enterprise might, develop something like this, or do you think this is it? The features
the stuff that they're adding inside of QuickBooks is like what took you so long, type of feature. Like the last major update was with regards to inventory management is expiration dates on lot and serial numbers, right? Like that was a couple years ago, and the traceability. And when we talked to Shawn about the traceability of keeping track of your inventory based on serial numbers or lot numbers, dates is a pretty necessary thing.
Yeah.
Right?
But like for planning, it's seems
Yeah,
as
especially if
if
you're dealing with food or pharmaceuticals, right? Like you
yes.
do not want to be selling expired food or
No, I
or
mean that's you can't
pharmaceuticals.
even. I mean that would just immediately make you not be able to do that
Right.
in that. But that's a really interesting point though, because did I just say my own point was really interesting? I'm just saying I think it's really interesting because
I'm smart.
I think it's really interesting because when you're talking to somebody that's in desktop, they're going to ask, and I have had people ask, maybe they'll add this. And like I have to say, I don't think so, but what do I know? So that's another thing is that you almost, as somebody kind of selling them on different features, because I talk to business owners all the time now about, well, what do you think and what do you recommend, and I just always have to sort of get down to the nitty gritty of what are they doing, and it involves a lot of questions and a lot of digging now, and from mistakes I've made in the past of I didn't ask that, now I better ask that. So it brings forth a lot of conversation, and I almost always now find myself saying like I can't answer that question if it's going to go away, but I mean, the prices are being hiked up. So why don't we just move you into a cloud-based scenario now? And that way, everything is set up correct from the beginning. You can scale. Those are really the conversations I'm having with people. And it really does never involve, let's just stay in desktop and wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the businesses that I really feel for is the people who bought into QuickBooks Online or adopted QuickBooks Online, thinking that it does the same things
Yeah.
that
And
the
that's a thing
desktop software
too. Yeah.
does, realizing, oh no, it's a little short-sighted. I'm going to move to desktop, and then only to find that Intuit is making it more difficult for them to stay in desktop.
Yeah.
And and
Those
that's
are my
like,
favorite people, and I sometimes I do get people asking me that frequently. Of, I just got online, and it turns out I can't do these things, and I'm like, funny you should ask. I have the perfect thing for you. So
right.
those people I love because usually they don't, they're like you just said, they are considering like, oh shoot, I guess this means I have to go back to desktop, but I love having these conversations with them about, the possibilities of what they can do. There's endless now. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I totally think that it's when you look at evaluating any sort of move where you're investing in anything, but particularly software, I think an important aspect is looking at the speed at which technology is developing. What is the historical rate that that solution has been coming out with new releases? I think that's a
Yeah.
really important thing when you're evaluating software. And so, just to kind of give you guys an idea, if we go to our website in Katana and we look at product
Yeah. Now
updates,
this is cool
so
because I feel like it's
we've
constantly new things.
yeah, we're constantly building. We just released our integration marketplace. With that comes HubSpot, and then a whole other list of third-party integrations that we've built into. And then we've got multi-location operations to help Shopify stores and other multi-location businesses manage and sell their inventory and fulfill based on where they have inventory available and where it's closest to the ship to address. We are utilizing AI directly within the solution so that businesses can be more efficient when they are entering orders into the system and then analyze bottlenecks utilizing the AI that's built into Katana. But really, that's just setting the foundation of having a technology stack that will be able to adopt AI when it's really ready to make an impact on businesses. So today, the AI impact, I would say, is fairly minimal, but it will be in the next 6 to 12 months much more significant. And is the foundation of your technology stack going to be able to adopt that AI era? And if you're not on a cloud-based solution that is thinking forward around that, you're likely going to struggle to adopt the newest technology that's going to make the biggest impact on your business. And so those are things that I think you need to evaluate when you're looking at a solution is how are they releasing new things? And then when you look at what Dan was referring to in sort of the foundation of Katana on the manufacturing side of things, we have that Burt Sports Store order that we put in the system that I prioritized as number one. Now that's on my manufacturing screen. So you look at a business that's scaling and they've got maybe started with 5 or 10 employees. Now they're looking at 20 to 40 employees. You now need to differentiate tasks between so many more people that Excel and QuickBooks Desktop just won't enable them to communicate effectively and plan out their overall operations. And that's what Katana will allow them to do. So we have unlimited users as well in the system. So that really helps ensure that everyone within the organization has their hands on the solution so that they all can work more efficiently together. And so the idea here is now that we've got this manufacturing order, it's prioritized, it's at the top of the list, we can go and assign these out to operators. So we can say, hey, for this heat operation, I want Shawn to work on this one. I want Jason to run the second operation. And that's then going to automatically assign those jobs out to the shop floor. And so they're going to see, look, that just happened in real time. I've now prioritized Shawn to be working on this hockey stick job. So right in that hockey stick job, I can go and see, okay, what do I need to manufacture? Do I have the carbon fiber, the Kevlar, the polyurethane I need to go and start that job? And I'm going to go and hit start. And now it's tracking my time on that job. So it's really connecting the demand that we put into the system to the manufacturing order we had to create, to now scheduling that out on the shop floor, communicating that with the employee that's going to run the job, making sure they have the materials to go and run that job and know exactly any other specific information relative to the other operations it needs to go through or notes specific to it. And now we're tracking the exact cost of that job. So you think of the full gambit of the demand through to order fulfillment, we're really capturing a lot of that, creating way more efficiency and communication throughout the business, and then having this really accurate cost of goods sold of that product. So a business owner can go and say, hey, how profitable am I? What sales channel is making me the most money? And where do I want to really invest further in my business? And so I think Katana is just really a step forward when we look at how technology can help a business be a lot more efficient.
Yeah, and just so you know, the unlimited users is a really significant thing. Not everybody has that at all. So that we noticed that too when we had to assign more users and discovered that, and that I thought that was really significant.
You always want to look at the pricing structure of of these solutions. And one last thing I want to touch on with you, Shawn, before we end, because we are running a little late already, because we have such great conversations with you. We just keep chatting away.
No, it's because every single time we chat with him, they come up with something new. There's a new feature.
When you're and we Rachel and I have had this discussion on our e-commerce fundamentals workshops that we've been doing, is that when you're deciding what your source of truth is for your inventory, there are so many other workflows that are now impacted by that decision, right? So everything that you're selling now needs to be talking to your inventory management solution, and everything that you're receiving also needs to talk to that inventory solution as well. So how do those workflows get impacted, or can they be augmented through Katana? Or do you now, everything that you sell or every sales process that you do have now has to talk to a Katana or be a part of the Katana workflows, because you have these end-to-end solutions or end-to-end workflows, which is Katana how do you pay for these things that you're purchasing, or is that now like where's the baton being passed in Katana, or is it, well, we've got everything that we need to do here inside of Katana?
Yeah, so I think Katana is going to be your main source of truth for sure from an inventory perspective. So incoming and outgoing, all of those inventory transactions are going to in some way be communicated to and with Katana, be it through our native integrations from a demand perspective with something like Shopify and HubSpot. From a purchasing perspective, we might be sending over the purchase order and the bill over to QuickBooks Online. And on the sales side, we're going to be communicating the cost of goods sold and revenue over to QuickBooks Online as well. And so the baton passing happens on those sort of incoming and outgoing transactions. And so when you have your purchase order workflow in Katana, we're buying that material based on the demand within the system and the inventory levels you want to maintain. You're then creating your PO, sending it off to your supplier, and then you're going to go and create that bill over in QuickBooks Online. And that's going to allow you to then receive and pay out that to receive your bill from your supplier, pay that out to your supplier through QuickBooks Online. And very similar on the sales order side. So you're going to be sending over, if it's a B2B environment, that invoice. If it's a B2C environment, high volume Shopify orders, and you're consolidating all this sales across multiple channels, you might utilize something from a revenue recognition standpoint. Like a Cinder, where you're consolidating that and making more simple entries over into QuickBooks Online. But that cost of goods sold in your inventory transaction will still be hitting QuickBooks Online automatically once you ship out those orders from Katana. So when you look at
big deal. That's very cool.
Yeah, and so when you look at where the baton is passed, we see Katana as that source of truth for your inventory, and that's what's going to update all your sales channel as far as how much you have in stock to sell, and it's going to bring in that demand when you do sell that to sort of bring down your inventory levels. And then when those transactions are happening over on QuickBooks Online, that's going to increase and decrease the value of inventory you have in stock. As well as on the sales side, it's going to increase your cost of goods sold while bringing down your inventory value overall. So it's going to be making those journal entry transactions on that sales order when you ship it out.
You know what? One thing that Dan and I, like, sometimes we talk to these clients about this thinking, and like, for example, this IMS, it's meant to sync everything. So you don't have to use a syncing tool, but you can. So like, let's say you want Katana to bring over most of the things, but you've got, they're also selling on this one platform. And for some reason, you just might want to sync those to Katana, to QuickBooks using something like Cinder. Again, like your example for some consolidated entry or something like that. But being able to still grab the cogs from Katana. So that's what I love.
Jam.
I love the customization of the different integrations that I can do. And again, that makes me talking to my client like, oh, you could do like this, you could do like that. And it just enables me to present as more of an expert in the matter. And it's just, I really like that flexibility. I don't have to have everything coming through Katana, but I can if I want.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm gonna put over top of Shawn. I'm sorry. Stand up there. The QR code. If you want to learn more about Katana, you can snap the QR code there and take a look at that. And if you're watching it on YouTube, you can pause it so that we can continue our conversation with Shawn. There we go. We'll get it out of his face. I meant to put it in the corner, but time and opportunity didn't allow me to make that QR code up in the corner. So we made a Shawn obstacle, a Shawnsticle of the QR code. Definitely give them a take a little deeper dive. I mean, you can take a look at the prior not QB Power Hour, Workshop Wednesdays. I'm getting my webinars confused. Of the different side-by-side comparisons we had with QuickBooks. And Shawn, we appreciate you joining us on this series that we are now wrapping up. And I feel sad that we won't be having more conversations with
just
Shawn.
Continue to talk about inventory in perpetuity. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure to chat with you guys and have Katana be a part of your education format for accountants and bookkeepers to help keep them informed about technologies that might help their clients run their businesses more effectively. And as things are always changing, and we're continuing to develop the solution, I look forward to utilizing this platform to educate the audience and how Katana might be able to further help their businesses and their clients.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for everyone joining us today on the Workshop Wednesday, and we'll see you next time, where we're going to be talking with Ted from Makers Hub about using and leveraging AI in accounting. So we talked a little bit with Shawn about how AI is being utilized in some of these tools, but how do accountants use AI as a tool to help with elevate their clients? So we'll have that conversation next week on the workshop, and we hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks a lot.